What is up, everybody? This is Zacharias. We're here now with my Let's Play of Avernum 3 Ruined World. We covered Avernum Escape from the Pit already, and now we are covering we covered Avernum 2 Crystal Souls. So I cannot wait to get into the one that is my favorite out of the trilogy, and that's Avernum 3 Ruined World, which is a remaster of the original Avernum 3, which itself was a remaster of Exile 3 Ruined World. And the original Exile 3 Ruined World was the first Spiderweb software game I discovered, actually. And the rest is history. I've been a fan of Spiderweb software ever since I discovered the original Exile 3 Ruined World. So it has been remastered again. Was remastered back in 2017, 2018, around that time. So I cannot wait to get into this Let's Play with you all. One of my all-time favorite games, so we're just going to get right into it. All right, now, of course, they have the preset build. I don't know what all is different as far as the builds go. I'm pretty sure they're pretty much the same as the first two. The only thing that's a little bit different, though, is like the dialogue. Since our group here is going to be heading up to the surface to explore, so instead of training on the surface, it says training in the castle. Stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much the same pre-built stuff if you want to experiment with that. Nothing really too different, but I am gonna go with custom for each, and I actually recommend custom over the pre-built stuff, to be honest, because you have more leniency that way. But if you aren't sure and you want to do the pre-built stuff, that's perfectly fine. And once again, similar to Avernum 2 Crystal Souls, we have the option to have a Slith in our party, a Nephil in our party, or both. I am going to stick with all human because I do like the second game. I do like the bonus trait every 4 levels. But Nephils and Sliths also get benefits as well. But we are going to have an all human party. And what's interesting about this game compared to the second Avernum is that having a Nephil and Slith didn't really have that much of an effect in the second game, apart from maybe a few dialogue options. And I think if you have a Slith in your party, then you have access to certain things in the Slith village. But that was really about it. This is actually the first game in Avernum 3 where having a Slith, or Nephil, or both in your party will actually have an effect, and you would see that as a game. But like I said, I am going to stick with an all-human party for my headcanon. So let's go ahead and start setting my group up. All right, my first guy is going to be a warrior called Rex, and he's going to be a spear wielder, a frontline spear wielder that can tank and defend really well. So I'm going to have him do that. I had that in the first game. I switched it up for the second game, but I am going to go back to having pole weapons user, spear wielder that can tank very well. My second character is going to be a dual wielder. I'm going to call Zelena. Now, I know her portrait has her like being an archer. You see her bow right there. But I like this character portrait too much to not use it, so that's why I'm going to use it in this game. She'll still have bows as backup, similar to how Rex will also have bows as a backup. But her focus is going to be on dual wielding. So, once again, similar to the first game, Rex is going to be my frontline tank fighter that does pole weapons, while Zelena is going to be my dual wielder. For my third character, I'm going to have a priestess that I'm going to call Celestia. And I really like that portrait as well. And for my last character, he's going to be a sorcerer by the name of Jordan. So yeah, here's my group here: Rex, Zelena, Celestia, Jordan. In the first game, it was Xander, Ariadne, Beatrix, Noah, and Beatrix. For Avernum 2 Crystal Souls, it was the story of Moses, Raylin, Seraphina, and Lazarus. And for Avernum 3 Ruined World, we're going to it's going to be the story of Rex, Zelena, Celestia, and Jordan, which is going to be a custom built 2 fighters, a priest, and a sorcerer. Now, there is a path in the game you can take, and there is a certain build I recommend for that, but let's not get ahead to that. I'll let the story, and I'll explain all what I'm talking about when we get to that point in the story. So there is a certain pre-built, I mean not pre-built, but certain party you would want to have if you decide to take that path. But like I said, I'll get around to that when it comes to that point in the story. But without further ado, let's just get right into it. And like with all my playthroughs, I am going to stick with normal. Legends tell that Avernum is the gateway to the underworld, from which the dead never return. Avernum is also a real place. It is many miles of caves and tunnels, far below the world's surface. The Empire rules the surface totally. When they discovered Avernum, they had the perfect use for it: a prison. Everyone who didn't fit in, the rebels, the antisocial, those with incorrect opinions, they were teleported into Avernum forever. The Avernum was outgunned and outnumbered. The Empire War was sought lost until Avernum found an ally. The alien Vonatai joined you. Avernites decided that it was time to return to the surface. They built a magical portal and established Upper Avernum, new cities and tunnels just below the surface. Then they then selected someone to explore the surface. For the first time, you. Okay, so here we go. Pretty much. I do like that was actually a cutscene, because in the first 2 games they just gave you a lot of like dialogue in the read, but that was actually a full cutscene right there, which is very impressive. But let's go ahead and build our party. All right, I'm going to put the tried and true point into strength, dexterity, endurance. Obviously, strength is going to be the main focus, and we're going to ignore intelligence entirely. But since he is going to be a pole weapons user, we're going to do that. We're going to put 2 into bows. Not going to train bows, of course, but we are going to at least buy a couple more levels in, plus levels into these, so he'll have more access to battle disciplines later. So yeah. All right, and for the final point, we're going to put it into nature lore, since we're exploring the surface. It's not really cave lore for this game, it's nature lore, since we're up there exploring for the surface. Definitely a must-have, so we're going to put that there. And of course, I'm going to put the trait into nimble fingers. All right, for my second fighter, strength, dexterity, endurance. This time we're going to be melee weapons though, and we're going to do bows for the backup. And again, nature lore and nimble fingers. All right, for my priestess here, 4 into intelligence, 3 into endurance, 2 into priest, and 2 into arcane lore. So we start off with a good amount of arcane lore to begin with, and of course nature lore, nimble fingers. And same thing for Jordan here. 4 intelligence, 3 into endurance. Except this time mage spells, and 2 into arcane lore, and then 1 into nature lore, 1 into nimble fingers. But that is the custom build that I liked from the first game to now this one, is that making sure that my party has at least 4 arcane lore total, and also 4 tool use to start with, and also 4 cave lore or nature lore in this game to start off with. So that is how I'm going to build my party for now. We will definitely progress with it soon. Your year of tedious service in the Avernum army has finally paid off. You have been chosen on very short notice to join unspecified services and travel to the surface. The surface, out in the sun, you had never dared dream of it. First, however, you must complete your final training and testing. Happily, some equipment has been left for you. 2 crude helms of thick lizard skin wait for you on the table nearby. You should take advantage of them before you move on. Alright, we have to get at least a helmet for him. We'll put a helmet on Selena as well. The lizard skin helm is crude and dirty, but it might deflect one of the Empire's weapons, if you're very lucky. You eagerly look to the north. Time for your elite training. When you travel up to the surface, you are likely to be attacked by hostile soldiers and beasts. Before you are allowed above, Avernum wants to make sure you can handle it. That is why, just ahead, several beasts have thoughtfully been left here for you. Once they are destroyed, Avernum will be confident in your abilities. You are about to enter combat mode. Once battle has begun, to attack an enemy, select the space it is seen again. You will also get tips about spells and abilities you can use. You are now in combat. Characters will take turns moving and attacking. Each turn you get a few action points. Everything you do, moving, using items, attacking, etc., costs action points. When you run out, your turn is over. To attack a foe, select the space it is standing in. The space your cursor is over will be tinted red. If there is an enemy in that space, it will glow. Okay, I didn't have enough action points to actually do an attack, but that's alright. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you all the pre-spells here real quick. We can actually cast one right away here. Of course, we have the basic ones to start off with: Minor Heal, Curing, Smite, and Protection, but we also get some new ones. Some of them are area effect spells, which might be pretty handy. Of course, we have to buy and level up. And what's interesting this time for this game is that the maximum amount of pre-spells and mage spells you need is going to be 19. For the first game, it was 17. For the second game, it was 16. So I am going to be somewhat more careful when it comes to distributing my skill points. But that's not really too much of a hindrance either, because there is a lot to explore in this game. It's definitely a huge game, so we will definitely get right up to that point and still have skill points we can use to really help out our party here. Same thing for mage spells. We got area effect stuff, which is pretty neat. Although keep in mind that with the area effect stuff, it is going to harm everyone who passes it, so you do want to be fully aware of that before you proceed here. And again, similar to pre-spells, maximum amount of mage spells you can get is 19, or the maximum level is 19. Like I said, this is a pretty big game, so we'll have plenty of time to explore all this other stuff. And speaking of time, this game is interesting too, because it actually operates on a day system. here. In the first two games, they didn't have a day system. You could take pretty much all the time you wanted. All this other stuff, but this actually has a day system. I think in the original Avernum 2, and Exile 2, they also had the day system, but it didn't really matter that much how long you took anyway. It didn't really affect the story. But for Avernum 3, for Exile 3 Ruined World, Avernum 3, and now Avernum 3 Ruined World, it actually does have effect. The longer you take, the more towns will be affected, and you'll find out how and why they get affected as we progress. But I do want to try to keep that from happening too much anyway. So yeah, we are on day one, and you'll see as the story progresses why the day system matter. But even if you take a very long time, you can still win the game. So it's not like you can't win the game if you take too long. But it is recommended you do try to at least take care of things and not let too much time pass, because you might miss out on some key things. Okay, so I killed those before I was able to use battle disciplines, but that's alright. I'm sure the game will tell me when I can use it anyway. Now, I already know how to play, but yeah, it'll definitely, the tutorial will still gonna walk you through even if you haven't played the first game. And it's interesting too for this game, because as a kid, Exile 3 Ruined World was actually my first game. My first introduction to Spiderweb software. I hadn't played the first two. So yeah, you can definitely play this game without needing to play the first two first. I still recommend it, although to be fair, this is Spiderweb software is one of their biggest hits, and I do highly recommend it. And it's definitely one of my favorites out of the Spiderweb software. Definitely my favorite out of the Avernum trilogy, for sure. Anyway, let's proceed. Since both of the subterranean horrors left for you have been squished, the gates to the north open. Agents from unspecified services hurry through, eager to throw you into a teleporter and send you to Upper Avernum. From there, you will at last be able to step out onto the surface. So excited to get into this Let's Play with you all. Alright, let's go ahead. One thing I will say about that cutscene that I think is pretty funny is the fact that, you know, how the sunlight pretty much hurts our adventurers and how it burns. You know, basically just setting them on fire for a moment. Just to emphasize that, and also showing how this is a tree. And it makes sense because obviously our group here is pretty much adventurers who pretty much spent their whole lives in Avernum and aren't familiar with the surface clearly. So yeah, that's pretty much the thing. Our first quest, of course, is to go see an Anaximander. We have quite the long journey to do up in that point. But I do want to show the battle disciplines real quick. I don't really see any real changes to the battle disciplines as far as those go. If you have an archer, you could use blinding shot as well, an upgraded flawless shot. But it is a little bit disappointing that the archer is limited on battle disciplines. If you do make a pure archer, because I always wanted to do that attack that some of the archers do, where they just spam a bunch of arrows at once. Like, that's pretty cool. That would have been a good as battle discipline, because some of these other ones aren't really that. These are really the only two that benefit an archer anyway. And that is also why I wanted to go back to 2 frontline fighters anyway, because archers are limited on battle disciplines, and not only that, but the traits don't really benefit them as well. So hence why I did go back to having 2 frontline fighters. So there is that. What other changes do I think? Okay, I already explained that this one does have a time system, and you'll see how that comes into effect as we progress through the game. And that's pretty much all I can think of. The rest of the stuff we'll get introduced to as the story, and I can explain as we get to those points, including the one I already mentioned about having a particular party depending on a certain path you might want to take later, which is a Steam achievement, but it's not mandatory for the story anyway, so it is strictly optional. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, anyway, I'm very excited to bring you all Avernum 3 Ruin World. We have my group here. We have Rex, we have Selena, we have Celestia, we have Jordan. And I really cannot wait to get into this Let's Play with you all. I'm very excited. This is my favorite out of the Avernum trilogy. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and save the game right here. But I will see you all very soon with the next part. And I'm very excited to get right into Avernum 3 Ruin. So I'll see you all until then.